بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. My dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to the final part in our podcast with brother Nadim. May Allah reward you, brother, for staying with us to continue discussions. And this part is about the impact of social media. There's no doubt it has an impact on the community, on the society, on the families, on couples, on singles. Everybody's being impacted by social media, one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
So, based on your experience with dealing with couples problems or individual problems, what are the exact impacts, whether negative or positive, of social media on people in general?
I mean, with social media, it can be a positive entity just overall. And just like any tool, it can be abused. In many instances, people are meeting on Facebook and divorcing on Instagram. And so the thing is with social media, it has to be utilized just like if you're meeting anybody in person, you have to have boundaries. You have to basically establish social media boundaries, rules of engagement.
Exactly.
Some couples have rules where if we don't take, like on Facebook, we don't take friends of the opposite sex, so that's their relatives and things of that nature. They they talk about it, establish boundaries. And those are the types of things, or having conversations, like for instance, would you have that same type of conversation with that individual if you were sitting at a coffee shop? And so to me, social media is not as different as if we met in the public. Would you just, because of what happened when the chat rooms were coming up in the early, the early 90s, there was a lot of chat rooms, and people were meeting in chat rooms and actually divorcing their mates to go with people they've never met physically. Again, as I mentioned earlier in another episode, how when the telephone was invented, the divorce rate increased in this country. And so the social media has caused an uptake in divorces because, again, people have more closer contact and more exposure to one another.
Exactly.
And so the main thing is to create healthier boundaries. Just like even texting. I get text all the time, people pretending as if it's a wrong number, and then I say, well, it's a wrong number. And then that's the newest thing.
Yeah.
And then they try to pull you into a conversation, and if you don't have the iman, then what happens is, before you know it, you sending Cash App money, to somebody in China.
Yeah.
Or some other country.
I had one of those a couple of days ago, and I kind of feel that's what they're doing. So she's like, do you like puppies? I said, no, I like tigers. And then she's like, wow, you're a powerful man. I said, yeah, you want to see my picture with my tiger? So I sent her Mike Tyson with his tiger. And then I blocked that number.
Yeah, and then, because that's the danger. But you have people who are lonely, and if that's what they're looking for. They may send 1,000 or more messages out, because I'm sure they have call centers, just like in the old days.
It's an automated thing now.
It's an industry.
Yeah.
And so, but what their goal is to try to not only get you tied up into issue or financial issue, to exploit you one way or the other. And so that's the danger of, we have to have boundaries, just like we have boundaries with each other, just in person.
In person, yeah.
And if you develop those types of ethics, then you won't have a problem with social media.
Exactly. So another question that came to me is, can social media be employed to help resolve some of those issues, meaning issues between couples? Can it be employed in one way somehow?
Yeah, and what happens, a lot of therapists like I have a Facebook page, and I'll put things that are interesting, or put little tidbits on, little tips to help strengthen relationships. So again, a tool can be used or
That's right.
abused,
Exactly.
and so that's one of the things. It depends on who is basically utilizing. If a person has corrupt intent, you're going to have corrupt results.
That's right.
If a person has honorable intent, you're going to have honorable results.
Yep. Garbage in, garbage out.
Big time.
So, is there anything or any advice that can be given to the viewers, ways to prevent the negative part of the social media?
That if you're married, you should have access to each other's social media. You should not have, you can't get in the passwords or whatever, because if something happens, so if you're sick or if you pass away, then you need to be able to get into the social media. And so I would always tell people, don't text or say anything online that you can't stand behind in the court of law or court of love.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, and that's what you have to look at. If it's something that's going to come back and bite you later on, then you shouldn't be texting that
Absolutely.
or putting that online.
Yeah, but I've heard sad stories because of that.
Because nothing is ever deleted. You can delete it, and as you're a computer professional, you know that you can always. You have forensic computer experts can pull your first email up from 1997.
Absolutely, yeah. It's even worse now, because even if you delete it from your computer and put it in the file, and burn it, everything, whatever it was in it is in the cloud, like you mentioned. So somebody has it somewhere out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how long. It's gonna be there for a long time.
It's just like with radio. I studied radio for many years, and I remember one time in class they talked about nothing. The sounds, like the radio waves, never disappear. The first radio broadcast is still reverberating in the universe.
Subhanallah.
So even with our words, those words they're still going.
So somebody could pick them up somewhere.
It's just like when we look at from an Islamic perspective, and the Quran just talks about. Is nothing hidden? Because every little thing, because Allah says He knows when a leaf falls.
Yes.
Every leaf falls, and then physicists and scientists, they talk about that on a physical level, and then Allah talks about these things on a spiritual level. So the bottom line is, nothing is ever deleted. So be careful what you put on social media.
Absolutely. I watched some experiments. They do it on the street. I don't agree with it because it does cause problems. So they would come to a couple and say, "Hey, what's your name? What's your name?" And then they say, "How long you guys been married?" They say, "This long." So they say, "Do you trust each other?" "Yeah, of course, absolutely." "So can you exchange phones?" Man, it's bad. Most of the time, the man say, "Yeah, sure," he would unlock it. And I'm not saying this because I'm a man.
Right.
But that's what I saw. He would unlock the phone and give it to his wife. And she's like, the battery is dying right now. No, I don't want to do this now. And they say, "Oh, we have a charger."
Got an instant charge.
Yeah, we have a charger. Give me that. She's like, "No, I don't want to do this." And then the guy would tell the husband, like, "What do you think? Is she hiding? Is she hiding something?" She's like, "No, I'm not hiding anything." And then she would force herself to give them the phone. And then they would go through the text and say, "So who's Chad?" She's like, "Oh, this is a guy who works with me."
Country in Africa.
Yeah, I know, right? And then they say, "Oh, let's see the messages." No, don't look at them. No, hold on, let's see. "Oh, you sure you know him from work?" And then they would give it to the husband. So it ends up really bad.
Yeah, and a lot of times, even in couples counseling, I would ask you, "Well, how did you find out?" "Oh, I looked through his phone. I looked through her phone." Yeah. And I tell couples, stay out of each other's phones. Stay out of each other's phones unless you get permission. Because if you look for something, as they say, you're going to find it. So if a person is going through something, the key is it's going to show up. If they're cheating online, the problems in the relationship started probably months or years before the actual, whether it's social media infidelity, emotional infidelity, or actual physical infidelity. There were problems even before that happened. Somebody starts getting a wandering eye. And that's why couples, I encourage you to stay connected. Some of the homework I give couples, give each other 4 to 6 positives on a daily basis. If they're, again, not comfortable sharing each other's phones or social media, then that's a problem.
Absolutely. So, brother, do you have any final thoughts, any advices you want to, give to the community? Maybe something that help them or guide them to, avoid having problems, certain problems, especially for couples. And for those singles, we want to tell them something. Maybe, inshallah, they will get married. And, just that kind of advices. Do you have?
I remember my daughter, she was talking to a young lady, and the young lady just said, I need to get married. And my daughter was response to her, because my daughter wasn't married at the time, she said, no, I don't need to get married. I want to get married, And so, because when you need to get married, then you're going to make a mistake. You're going to rush. You're going to be impulsive. You're just going to get married. And so, again, for the singles, I really want to encourage you to get prepared for marriage emotionally, physically, and above all, again, financially. And there's nothing wrong with living under the roof of the family members until you get on your feet. In the old days, that's the way it worked.
Absolutely.
And so but also make sure you're contributing to the household as well. So I think getting prepared for marriage is important. For couples, when they get married, make sure that you don't neglect each other. Make sure that you're spending time together. Make sure that you are having daily conversations. They don't have to be necessarily deep conversations. Just making sure that you're connecting with one another.
Exactly.
Again, the homework I give some couples who have run into difficulties, 4 to 6 positives a day. Healthy couples, and the positive can be a look, a positive can be a touch, a positive can be a word, a positive can be an act. And so some couples get that done before breakfast. Healthy couples. Unhealthy couples, they come back a week later, I couldn't do it. They couldn't give them a positive, 4 to 6 positive in a week. The person might be on a game. I've seen gaming, we didn't mention gaming in that. You have specifically men get involved in gaming, and that can become like an addiction.
Yes.
And so as a result, they spend so much time in the gaming board, then they're neglecting their mates. And then as a result, the other person finds something, and so you're just roommates. You're not cohabiting. You're just basically, it's just, living together. And so the thing is to be able to make sure that you are giving quality time. They have the 5 love languages. One of them is quality time, words of affirmation, gifts, and there's physical touch and acts of service. Those are the 5 love languages. As human beings, who was that the author, when he struck a chord with that we all have a love language. And so if my love language is acts of service, then that means that's what I'm going to do for you. Allow me to do that for you. If your love language is words of affirmation, then I need to basically give kind words and talk and tell you that I love you, or that you look nice and things like that. And so the whole thing is that they have even a survey online that you look up 5 love languages, and you can Gary Chapman was the author, but they'll ask you certain questions, and it will tell you what is your priority love language. Some people's love language number 1 may be words of affirmation, and so once you learn your mates, and when I do premarital counseling, I have couples take their the survey, and then they they get an understanding of what their love language is. And so those are some of the things I would encourage for people to get premarital counseling if you're not married. If you're running into rough patches in your marriage, to get counseling, not family. Keep your family out of your beeswax, your business. Because families have long memories. And what happens is you go to your family, oh, she didn't do this, he didn't do that. And then y'all make up, and 20 years later, the family's still mad at you. And so, but if you've gone to a therapist, unless you present a threat to yourself or others, I cannot reveal what we talk about in the session.
Protected.
Yeah, it's confidentiality. And so that's what you get. And again, now, there are people who are good at counseling but they don't get licensure. And that's one of the other things I really encourage people to sit with licensed people, and people who are supervised, because with the license, you have the protection. And so if I violated your confidentiality, I have to be insured $1 million, $1,300,000 every year. I have to keep that in place. And if I violate it, they can sue me. But if a person who may be a good counselor but doesn't have the licensure, then you don't have the recourse.
The protection.
You don't have protection of the being able to sue. Like I said, there are a lot of people who can give counseling better than myself, but they haven't taken the time to get that license.
Okay. And so you mentioned this couple of times that therapy before marriage,
premarital therapy, and marital therapy, and if you can't make it, postmarital therapy.
Exactly. So you have
a healthy divorce.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To make it kind of peaceful
peaceful coexistence and a peaceful exit.
إمساك بمعروف أو تسريح بإحسان.
Me.
نعم. جزاك الله خير, brother. Very valuable information, actually. So one thing to mention, I'm gonna put your website also in the description. I know you didn't accept the same value of patients as in the past, but you're still accepting some.
Right. I'm just doing virtual for the most part.
Virtual, okay.
I've closed my office.
Okay. So they can go to the website and book a session.
Well, they can contact me through the website. I shut it down where you can book.
Okay.
Sessions.
So the booking.
They have to contact me.
But therefore, there is a phone number or something.
Phone number.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if you
and email, they can contact me through email.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So you can contact Brother Nadeem if you want to book a session, whether it's for marital, pre-marital, marital, or post.
Mm-hmm.
So you will provide all these services. Jazakallah khair. Brothers and sisters in Islam, Jazakumullah khair for watching. I hope that you enjoyed and benefited from all the information presented in this podcast. And we hope to see Brother Nadeem, inshallah, more in the future to discuss specific things. And maybe in the future we can do a live session where people can participate and ask live questions. So, but we'll see how your availability. It took me a year to get a hold of you. so I'm not gonna keep my hopes up. Jazakum Allah khair for watching. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.